I've never been the type to believe in bad luck. Sure, I've had my fair share of awkward dates and cringeworthy moments, but nothing that would qualify as a curse or a sign from the universe. That changed the night I met her. Her name was Lila. At first glance, she seemed completely normal. Attractive in that unassuming way, with dark hair that framed her face like curtains and piercing blue eyes that could almost see through you. We met at a coffee shop late one evening when I was grabbing a cup after work. She complimented my jacket, said the leather made me look mysterious. I laughed, thanked her, and thought nothing of it when she asked for my number. Looking back, I should have trusted my gut when it twisted a little too tight as I typed in my contact info. At first, Lila was charming. She sent a few casual texts, nothing too overbearing. We went out for coffee once, then dinner a few days later. I'll admit, she was easy to talk to, even funny in a way that felt a bit odd, but refreshing. It wasn't until our third date that things started to feel off. She showed up at my apartment unannounced one night. I hadn't even told her where I lived. There was a knock at the door, and when I opened it, there she was, holding a bottle of wine and grinning ear to ear. "Surprise," she said. I tried to play it off, thinking maybe she'd gotten my address through some mutual connection, though I couldn't think of how. I let her in, thinking that it'd be less awkward than sending her away. But the whole time, something gnawed at the edges of my mind. She knew things about me that I hadn't shared. My favorite book. The fact that I had an old scar on my knee from a bike accident as a kid. Small details I didn't remember mentioning during our conversations. When I asked her how she knew, she just smiled and said, "Oh, you told me, don't you remember?" I didn't. A few weeks later, it became clear that something wasn't right. She'd show up at my workplace during my lunch break, waving to me from the parking lot like it was the most normal thing in the world. My coworkers started asking questions, joking about my secret admirer. But the jokes turned into awkward silence when they realized how uncomfortable I was about it. I tried to talk to Lila about boundaries, but every time I brought it up, she'd twist the conversation back to me. "You're just scared of getting close to someone," she'd say. "You don't have to push me away. I'm here for you." The first real red flag, the one I couldn't ignore, happened on a Friday night. I was supposed to meet my sister for dinner. She'd been texting me all day, excited to catch up, but when I checked my phone that evening, her texts were gone. Not just the ones from that day, but all of them. Every single message she'd ever sent me had been erased. When I asked Lila if she knew anything about it, her face turned cold, almost blank. "Why would you need to talk to her when you have me?" she asked, her voice soft but eerily steady. That's when I realized she'd been going through my phone. I tried to break things off with her after that. Told her it wasn't working out, that I needed space, but she didn't take it well. "You don't mean that," she said, her eyes welling up with tears that seemed more manipulative than genuine. "You're just scared. I can fix that." I didn't respond. I blocked her number and started locking my doors at night. Not that it helped. 2 days later, I came home to find her sitting in my living room. The locks hadn't been tampered with, but there she was, as if she belonged there. "We need to talk," she said, her tone calm but firm. "You're not thinking clearly. You need someone to help you." I demanded to know how she'd gotten in, but she just shrugged. "You gave me a key, remember?" I hadn't. Things escalated quickly after that. She started rearranging my apartment, claiming it would make me feel more happy and grounded. She threw out my favorite mug because it had a crack in it and replaced it with one she'd brought. She even changed the wallpaper on my phone to a photo of the two of us, a picture I didn't remember taking. When I tried to physically remove her from my apartment, she fought back, clawing at me with nails that felt sharper than they should have been. She managed to pin me down, her strength startling for someone her size. "You can't leave me," she whispered, her face inches from mine. "I've given up everything for you." She didn't stop there. Over the next few days, she started physically abusing me whenever I pushed back against her control. If I argued or tried to escape, she'd slap me across the face or grab my arms so hard that bruises formed. One night, she hit me so hard that I stumbled and fell, hitting my head on the edge of the coffee table. My left eye swelled shut almost immediately, the bruising dark and angry. I didn't sleep that night. I didn't even try. I sat on the edge of my bed, my hands shaking as I tried to figure out what to do. Calling the police seemed like the obvious choice, but part of me was terrified of what she might do if she found out I'd called them. By the time the sun came up, I'd made up my mind. I packed a bag, planning to stay at a hotel for a few nights until I could sort things out. But when I opened my door, she was standing there, blocking the exit. "Going somewhere?" she asked, her voice sweet, but her expression anything but. I don't know how she knew. Maybe she'd been listening at the door, or maybe she'd just guessed. Either way, I was trapped. The next few days were a blur of fear and desperation. She didn't let me leave the apartment. She took my phone, my laptop, even my car keys. When friends and family came by, she'd answer the door and tell them I was sick or busy or didn't want to see anyone. I tried to escape once, waited until she fell asleep on the couch, and made a break for the door. But she was faster than I expected, grabbing me before I could even turn the knob. She dragged me back inside, her nails digging into my arm so hard that I bled. "You're not going anywhere," she hissed, her face twisted with a rage I'd never seen before. "Not until you realize that you belong to me." I started losing track of time after that. The days blended together, each one more suffocating than the last. She wouldn't let me sleep unless it was on her terms. She controlled everything, what I ate, what I wore, even when I could use the bathroom. But what scared me most was the way she talked about our future. "Once you're better," she'd say, "we'll move somewhere quiet, somewhere no one can bother us. Wouldn't that be nice?" I thought I was doomed, that no one would ever find out what was happening to me. But then, one night, I heard a knock at the door. It was the building manager, doing a routine check after someone reported strange noises coming from my apartment. Lila tried to play it off, claiming I was asleep and didn't want to be disturbed. But the manager must have sensed something was wrong, because he insisted on coming in. When she tried to stop him, he called the police. They arrived within minutes, breaking down the door when Lila refused to open it. She fought like a wild animal, screaming and clawing as they dragged her away. I sat on the floor, my face swollen and my eye blackened, too stunned to move, as they asked me question after question. After the police took her away, they found more than just evidence of her obsession in my apartment. In her bag, they uncovered a diary, a chilling record of her descent into madness. Page after page detailed her plans, her surveillance of me, and her belief that we were destined to be together. There were even entries about sabotaging my relationships with friends and family, erasing texts, and monitoring my movements. The diary also contained something far worse. Photos. Dozens of them. Some were from our dates, taken without my knowledge, while others were of me in my apartment, asleep or going about my day. The most disturbing ones were from before we met. Pictures of me at the coffee shop, at work, even outside my sister's house. She'd been stalking me for months, maybe longer. One photo in particular sent chills down my spine. It was taken through my bedroom window while I was asleep. In the foreground, I could see her reflection in the glass, her face illuminated by the moonlight, staring intently at me. The police assured me she was in custody, facing charges for assault, breaking and entering, stalking, and unlawful imprisonment. But the damage she caused runs deeper than the bruises and the black eye. I've changed the locks, installed cameras, even moved to a new apartment. But I still can't shake the feeling that she's out there, waiting for the right moment to return. Some nights, I wake up in a cold sweat, convinced I can hear her voice outside my window, whispering, "You belong to me."